We've been a little cold here, not gonna lie, but there is some time to still turn it around. It is Super Bowl week, so we still got some player props on the way for you guys and some college basketball action. This is the free three. Let's get into these best bets for today.
I love it, Noble. Noble, I also love your YouTube videos. I watched them while I was gone. That was fire.
But getting paid because yesterday we had a full sweep. Mike going under, that was just icing on the cake. Why are we going to go in such a weak AFC South? Unless we have the NBA Blowout Association.
Bang! Knicks take a 1-point lead with 13 seconds.
When you hear the sirens, you know what that means.
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me. Hurt my feelings.
Welcome into a Wednesday episode of the Free Three. It is your boy Noble Living back with another DYF Bets video. I'm breaking down my favorite picks and plays of the day as I just try to get to the bag together and make that money. Like I mentioned in the intro, it has been a little bit of a rough few days for us here on the channel. It's just been up and down, up and down. Yesterday we had a 1-in-1 day. We took the Cavaliers on the money line, that lost, but we also took St. John's minus 2.5, and that hit. So it was like a 1-in-1 day. We added late night BYU minus 2.5, and that missed as they are just, Arizona, I don't know for you guys, they've probably been the most frustrating college basketball team for me to read, and it's like I'm giving back all my college basketball profits. It's kind of pissing me off, but we still have a lot of time to turn things around. You can see real quickly here a recap from yesterday. We've got Cleveland, a loss on the money line. We got St. John's right, and then we also lost on BYU late night there. So we still do have a little bit of time here, guys, to turn things around. On today's episode of the Free Three, I'm going to give you guys another player prop inside of the Super Bowl. I gave you one yesterday, so make sure you guys watch that video to grab that player prop. I'm going to give you another one today. I'm going to give you guys a best bet in the Super Bowl every single day, building up into the Super Bowl. You can see my shirt on. I've got my Super Bowl shirt on. I'm going to actually be recording my preview video of what I think is going to happen in the Super Bowl. So make sure you guys watch that video. That's going to come out in about a day or two. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. We're always dropping new types of videos. Obviously, we have the daily betting video here. We might be down in New Orleans this weekend for the Super Bowl, so we're going to be interviewing fans. If you haven't checked out some of the shorts that we did during college football and NFL season, it's been a great time that we're having here on the channel. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Make sure you're hitting that like button. And let's get into these winners for today. I'm done yapping. We need to turn it around in the biggest way. And I actually like this card because I kind of took some notes from what went wrong yesterday, and I'm trying to apply it for today. So let's see what can happen. Our first best bet of the day is going to come inside of the Sixers and the Heat matchup. Did you guys watch that Sixers game last night? Joel Embiid, it's like a love-hate relationship with that guy. Like, when he's on the floor, he's so dominant, he's so good, he's unstoppable. But the question is, it's when is he on the floor? And obviously everything that's going on around the trade deadline, I guess Joel Embiid was like, shit, I need to get my ass on the court. I don't know, but dude had a triple-double last night. The 76ers were able to beat the Mavericks, a game that nobody thought they were going to win. Now, in the second night of a back-to-back, the Miami Heat come into town, and I think that we're getting a little bit of value here on the 76ers. Now, I don't want to lay the spread. It's basically to pick them at minus 1.5. But one thing that I did notice is, I go to Doink Sports and they give me some trends and some insights. And one of the things that I did notice is the total for this game is a little bit low. So if we pull up Doink Sports real quickly here, and as we go to the insights for this game, you can see real fast that we got a whole lot of green here for the team total. We've got a team total at about 107.5, or we can be able to bump it up a little bit to 108.5, and that should be able to get you to about plus Chicky that you can see at plus 105 or so here. So if we take it at 108.5, you can see here that the 76ers have gone over this total in 9 of the last 10 games. They're averaging 116 points per game over the last 10 games. Now, if we scroll over to the right, where we can now see how the Miami Heat have done over the last 10 games defensively, well, they've given up more than 109 points in 7 of the last 10 games. That's a 70% hit rate. They're giving up on average 118 points per game, including giving up 133 last game to the Chicago Bulls. So, what is the best bet of the day? You guys see the green. You know what I'm going to go with here. We're going to go with the 76ers team total over 108.5. If we go back to some of the team totals for the Sixers here, you can see they had 118 last night against the Mavericks, 110 against the Celtics, 134 against the Nuggets, 117 against the Kings. Well, I know the question that you're asking, well, what about the back-to-backs? Well, look at this. They had a back-to-back on the 28th and 29th. They dropped 118 against the Lakers on the 28th, 117 against the Kings on the 29th. So they were able to get it done. Let's continue to move here. On the 24th, they played the Cavaliers. They dropped 132. The very next game they played the Bulls on the road, they dropped 109. So I like that as well. Against the Pacers on the 18th, they had 102 points, so they went under this number. But the very next game on the road against the Bucks, 109 points. So the last 3 times that we've seen the back-to-backs, the second night of the back-to-back, they were still able to go over this number here. And I don't want to overthink it. They're home. They played at home last night. They got to sleep in their beds last night. Obviously, we don't have Embiid. We know that, second night of a back-to-back. But this is a Sixers team that is pretty much used to playing without Embiid at this point. I mean, he played yesterday for the first time since like early January. So it's not like something that they're unaccustomed to. Same thing without Paul George. And if you look at the home numbers as well, they've gone over in 9 of the last 10 home games as well. If you want to kind of spread out the sample size a little bit wider here, in the last 30 games, they've gone over in 18 of the last 30. That's a 60% hit rate. The Sixers can still score the ball because they still have Tyrese Maxey. And again, I know it's not the highest of totals. They're probably giving us a low total for a reason. But the Heat's defense, especially with no Jimmy Butler not playing, it's just not the same. Look at this game against the Magic here. 125 to 119. Who gives up 125 points to the Magic? I mean, I was shocked that the Magic gave up 119 points, but that's what I'm saying. When you look at some of these teams that they played, like the Blazers, they gave up 116. Obviously, the Nuggets score a lot, but they scored 133. The Cavaliers are not a team that's going to drop 140 on you every night. They gave 126. Just doesn't give me a lot of confidence here. We're locking in the Sixers here. Team total over 108.5 as the first best bet of the day. I'm not going to do it live so I can keep moving, but you guys will see me plug that one in. That's our first best bet that we're locking in, all right? Second pick of the day. Let's go to the college basketball slate real quickly. And we have a few games here on this Wednesday card that are pretty interesting on the college basketball side of things. You can see that we've got some SoCon action between Eastern Tennessee and VMI. We've got Butler versus Seton Hall. Oregon on the road against Michigan, which should be a pretty good matchup. Mizzou on the road against Tennessee. So some good games. But I want to go all the way down to a late night matchup as I scroll past Duke, as I scroll past Louisville. Keep going down, keep going down. I mean, there are a lot of games. TCU's playing tonight. Memphis, Rutgers, Illinois, Creighton. Some excellent games. I'm going to have a few more added on the card a little bit later. So make sure you guys are following us on Action Sports at Noble Living. I promise I'll add at least 2 more plays on this Wednesday card because there's several games that I like. But this late night game between Wake Forest and Stanford, I want to take a look at it. The Stanford Cardinals are at home in this matchup against Wake Forest. Wake Forest is coming into the town, and Stanford dropped their last game, but that game was on the road against a very decent SMU team. And as you can see, Stanford started off conference play much better than most people thought they would. They're 15-7 overall in the year. They're 7-4 in conference, and they strung together a start 7-3 in conference. And again, they lost their last game on the road to SMU. Well, Wake Forest comes into town here in this matchup, and Wake Forest in their last matchup, it was a win against Pittsburgh, a game I was not expecting them to win honestly at home. But things have not been the best, but it hasn't been the worst. They've dropped 2 of their last 3 against Duke and Louisville on the road, so it's not a bad losses. But this is the spot I'm looking at right here. Stanford away, Stanford home. They smacked Stanford at home in a few weeks ago on January 15th, and now they have to travel cross country after you just played at home this past Saturday. You're going to do your 2 right now in conference. Typically what these conferences are doing, they're doing like 2 West Coast games. They're going to do like USC, UCLA, Stanford, Cal. They're going to try to crank them out at the same time. So they're going to do their 2 West Coast games against Stanford and Cal. This is a system I've been looking at since we've had the conference realignment. I've been looking at teams that are traveling across the country, either west to coast, east to coast, and the first game, or west to east to west. Sorry, I'm saying west to coast. Sorry, east to west or west to east. That first game has more times than not been a loss. Now, the second game, like, I leaned Michigan State yesterday. Why? Because it was the second game of the Western trip. But the first game, when we faded Michigan State, right, against USC, it's just tough to win in that situational spot. And now Stanford is back at home after losing a spot where they strung 3 consecutive wins right before that prior. They've been defending the home court. And in all honesty, Stanford probably has the best player in the ACC right now, Maxime Reynard, the 7-foot senior. If you look at some of the numbers that this guy's been putting up this season, it's been absolutely just stellar. 18 points last matchup on 10 rebounds, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. The game before that, 21 points against Syracuse, 3 of 10 from the three-point line to go with 15 rebounds and then 3 assists, only 1 turnover. 33 points against Miami, 4 of 6 from the three-point line. 25 points against North Carolina, 3 of 12 from the three-point line. That's 13 rebounds, 6 of 6 from the free throw line. Maxime Reynard, he's putting up like Tim Duncan type of numbers, double-double type of numbers for this Stanford Cardinals team, and that's why I said they're one of the sleepers to get into the tournament. So you now probably know what I'm going with here. Stanford, minus 2.5, very similar to what we did yesterday with St. John's at home. I just like the way the Stanford Cardinals offense looks. They have the best overall player in the conference in Maxime Reynard. They don't turn over the ball a lot, 44th in turnover percentage that you can see here. And then Wake Forest traveling across the country. I just don't like the spot for them. And then we also do have the revenge angle as well, considering the fact that Stanford lost by 13 points to this Wake Forest team. And you could see right here, that was in the midst of literally winning, what was that, 6 of 7 games? That was their only loss right there. So I think they want to kind of be able to bounce back from that. And I like the fact that they did lose against SMU as well, because it's kind of like that wake-up call where it's like, hey, we strung together 3-4 wins, but things are not sweet. We have to show up every single night in this conference. And I like that situational spot here. We're going to lock in Stanford as our second best bet. Third and final pick of the day is going to be our Super Bowl player prop. And I know with the Super Bowl, there's a lot of things that people are talking about, a lot of different angles. And one of the angles that I'm going to give you guys today is just based off of just the numbers. Not just the numbers on what I believe the Eagles are going to do, but also on the numbers on what a coach like Andy Reid does. Because when you get to the big game, a coach like Andy Reid, who's had success and won multiple championships, you typically fall to the level of like your habits, right? You have certain tendencies that you tend to do. Just like Steve Spagnuolo, he lives and dies by the blitz. Andy Reid, he lives and dies by his gadget plays, by his creativity, by his ability to get his playmakers out in space. Like, that's what he does. But one thing that he does also do is he coaches very similar styles in big games. And one thing that he's willing to do is keep the ball in the hands of his superstars when the games matter the most, a.k.a. Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, when they had Tyreek Hill. This year, he's given Xavier Worthy, but he's a rookie, just a little bit more responsibility. But he takes the balls, out of the hands of the players that, what should I say? I'm not saying they're not performing, but he just does. It's just not that. That's you did your work in the regular season. Now, this is when the top players get the majority of their reps. He doesn't sub a whole lot. So what's the bet that I'm going to give you guys here? We're going to lock in here Mr. Isiah Pacheco under 5.5 carries in the Super Bowl. If you look at the numbers here for Pacheco, yes, he's gone over in 8 of the last 10 games. But keep in mind that Kareem Hunt, ever since Pacheco got hurt and Kareem Hunt has been taking over the load, Pacheco hasn't been getting carries like that. Back-to-back playoff games against Buffalo, 5 carries. Against Houston, 5 carries. Now he faces a very, very stout Eagles run defense. Not going to allow you to get a whole lot of carries off. You can see last week, Brian Robinson had 11 carries for 36 yards, right? That's it. That's it. And the Commanders had to throw the ball a lot of the times. Patrick Mahomes is going to naturally throw the ball a lot because that's what Andy Reid wants to do. Pacheco has been basically played out of the game script at this point. And if somebody's going to get the carries, it's going to be Kareem Hunt. And I don't think he's going to be that effective. So they're going to abandon the run game sooner rather than later, unless it's gadget plays, end-around reverses, things like that. And if you look at some of the recent game logs for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, I mentioned how a coach typically tends to stick to what he likes to do, let's look at the game log from the last Super Bowl against the 49ers. You can see Pacheco was the main running back, but Rashee Rice, 2 carries. Edwards-Helaire, 1 carry. Only other person, Mahomes. So what do I mean? Bulk of the carries goes to RB1. Who's the RB1 in this game? Kareem Hunt. If you want to look at the rematch or the first matchup between these two teams, between the Chiefs and the Eagles, I'll show you guys real quickly here. Let's look at the box score. Pacheco, 15 carries. McKinnon, 4 more 1. So if you're not breaking it out right away, you're not going to get the touches. The interior line with the Eagles are Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith. I just don't see them really running Pacheco here. Under 5.5 carries, we're locking that in as our third and final pick of the day. Well, that's it for me today, my friends. 3 best bets that we've got on this Wednesday card. 1 inside the Super Bowl to go along our Jalen Hurts completions that we gave you guys yesterday. But for today, we're going to go Stanford late night -2.5. And then we're also going to take the 76ers team total over 108.5. Those 2 plays in the college basketball and NBA slate for today. For more best bets, I'm going to be adding them on X and also on Action at Noble Living. So make sure you guys are staying for a lookout on that. I'll probably have a bankroll builder as well, as we have a lot of good games inside of college basketball. So no need to not take a shot with a money line parlay. All right, my friends, let's get to that cheddar. Dictate your fate. And as always, back for another video. It is your